Did you know that with just a simple supermarket trick, many people have saved thousands of dollars on their cruise vacations? By adding a $100 Carnival cruise gift card to their monthly grocery bill, the savings quickly add up, turning into a dream getaway. These gift cards can be used to book cruises, pay for onboard services such as shore excursions, specialty dining, or even spa treatments. It sounds incredibly convenient, but because of their value, cruise gift cards have also become prime targets for scammers. Fraudsters are growing increasingly sophisticated, with some even managing to trick cruise lines and retailers themselves. In a recent cruise gift card scam, 2 passengers aboard a Carnival ship were arrested for paying for their vacation using gift cards obtained through fraudulent means.
Mr. Fernandes and Ms. La Paz were arrested at PortMiami, accused of defrauding Winn-Dixie grocery stores in South Florida. A third suspect, Beatriz Paz-Roca, was also taken into custody hours later outside a Winn-Dixie in Doral, Florida. Investigators said the trio had been buying gift cards from various retailers using altered Bolivian bank cards. This caused issues with the supermarket chain's payment system, ultimately leaving Winn-Dixie to absorb the loss. Deputies reported roughly 230 fraudulent transactions tied to at least one of the 3 suspects. Authorities discovered via social media posts on Thursday that Fernandes and Parada La Paz had boarded the Carnival Sunrise for a cruise. Police said the pair booked the voyage on July 26th using fraudulent gift cards they had purchased the day before at Winn-Dixie. When the Sunrise returned to PortMiami on Monday morning, U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers conducted a border search and found bank cards on Fernandes, along with numerous other fraudulent gift cards in possession of both suspects. Meanwhile, investigators tracked Paz-Roca from the trio's residence on Northwest 26th Street. They followed her to a Winn-Dixie at 10,505 Northwest 41st Street in Doral, where she fraudulently purchased a $150 Amazon gift card. Detectives intercepted her as she returned to her car and arrested her on the spot. All 3 now face charges of grand theft, among others, along with conspiracy to commit organized fraud. And according to Miami-Dade's police chief, during the course of their scheme, Fernandes and Parada La Paz pocketed around $18,000, while Paz-Roca collected about $12,000. But did this incident actually affect the voyage? Thankfully, the officers handled the situation swiftly and professionally, and there were no delays during disembarkation on the Carnival Sunrise. The ship departed right on schedule for its next journey to the Caribbean. That said, even though the issue was resolved, the bad press for Carnival is undeniable. Crime, fights, rowdy behavior, these are the labels often attached to Carnival, and they've become a hot topic across online communities. But the real question is Carnival Cruise Line truly getting worse, or is it just the internet blowing things out of proportion? If you've ever sailed with Carnival, let us know your experience in the comments below. And now, here are some examples that prove the point. A Reddit user named NoNameNinja7895 recently sparked a heated discussion about a question that has been haunting cruise fans for years. What happened to the reputation of Carnival Cruise? He shared that as a child, he had wonderful family vacations aboard Carnival ships. Fun, carefree, and full of good memories. But after years away, especially since the pandemic, he decided to book a Carnival cruise again. What surprised him most was not the booking itself, but the reaction from his friends. None of them had ever sailed with Carnival, yet almost all of them responded with fear, hesitation, or even horror, as if the brand had become something to avoid at all costs. And he's not alone. Another Reddit user, Adventurous Item 395, posted that he had booked a trip on the Carnival Dream for May 2026, only to find himself bombarded with negative reviews online. The flood of criticism left him anxious about his upcoming vacation. Still, many people encouraged him not to cancel, reminding him that the internet loves to amplify negativity, while positive and peaceful experiences rarely go viral. So where does Carnival's bad reputation really come from? Most commenters pointed to one main factor: the price. Carnival is often seen as the budget-friendly cruise line, and with that comes a certain stereotype about the type of passengers who sail on it. Unlike luxury-focused cruise brands that market exclusivity and refinement, Carnival leans into a more fun, party-style atmosphere, which, while appealing to many, can sometimes harm its image. Others argued that this is just part of internet culture. A single viral clip of a crew member yelling at a guest can spread like wildfire, while thousands of moments of great service go completely unnoticed. The infamous poop cruise years ago is a perfect example of how one event can overshadow decades of otherwise normal sailings. But not everyone believes the negativity is just internet gossip. Carnival itself hasn't helped its own case recently. The company's new loyalty program faced massive backlash when it eliminated the beloved lifetime membership cards, replacing them with a rule that forces passengers to requalify every 2 years. Longtime loyal cruisers suddenly felt like their years of dedication meant nothing. And then there's the issue of rising prices. Carnival shocked guests by charging $19.99 just to rent a pool float. On the popular cruise critic forum, a poll about Carnival's new private destination, Celebration Key, showed overwhelming skepticism. 65.91% said it's overpriced. 15.91% said it's about the same as other private islands. 9.09% said they wouldn't even bother getting off the ship. 6.82% said it's fine. 2.27% actually thought it was cheaper. Clearly, even Carnival's most loyal fans are starting to lose patience. So what's the truth? Is Carnival Cruise a victim of internet exaggeration, or is it genuinely alienating its customers with unpopular policies and rising costs?
Cruises are supposed to be the trip of a lifetime, but for some passengers, bad decisions turn their dream vacation into a nightmare. From reckless stunts and drunken meltdowns to shocking moments that embarrassed everyone on board, these real-life fails are the perfect reminder of what not to do at sea. First up, and absolutely ridiculous, we see one of the most jaw-dropping moments on the list. A Carnival passenger, clearly far beyond tipsy, decides that the middle of a staircase is the perfect place to relieve himself. Yes, right there in front of everyone. Other guests whip out their phones in disbelief, filming as he stumbles, sways, and shamelessly urinates while people are walking by. Crew members are nearby, stunned, but security doesn't rush in immediately, probably waiting until the embarrassing spectacle is over. The worst part? There are bathrooms everywhere on a cruise ship, yet this man chose the stairs as his restroom. It's not just poor judgment, it's total disrespect for the ship, the staff, and every passenger who had to witness it. The next behavior we should never imitate is a truly foolish action that could have led to a life-threatening accident. A passenger lounging at the hideaway pool, 14 decks above the ocean, drops his sunglasses over the edge. Instead of letting them go, he leans dangerously far over the glass railing, and in an instant, he flips right over it. But the little butt slap he gave himself right before toppling made me think it was some kind of prank gone wrong at the very last second. Meanwhile, onlookers gasp, thinking they've just witnessed someone fall into the sea. Social media went wild, with rumors that he'd either drowned or been seriously injured. But the truth? He didn't even hit the water. A second glass barrier just below caught him, wedging him awkwardly between the panels. Miraculously, he climbed out without a scratch. Still, it's a shocking reminder of how something as trivial as a pair of sunglasses could have ended in tragedy. One reckless moment almost cut his cruise short before it even began. Next, the spotlight shifts to YouTuber Jack Doherty, a name that probably won't surprise anyone. Jack and his friends managed to get themselves kicked off a Royal Caribbean cruise after what can only be described as a full-blown casino meltdown. Security showed up at their cabin, body cameras rolling, and politely told them to pack their bags. Jack tried to spin the story, claiming he was respectful and that only his friend was at fault. But then he casually admits he slapped his chips in frustration, stormed off, and caused a scene of his own. To top it off, he brags afterward about flying home on a private jet, brushing the whole thing off like it was no big deal. It's a textbook case of ego and entitlement, proof that no amount of money or status gives someone the right to disrespect the rules or everyone else's vacation. The behavior that makes us burst out laughing is a passenger, dressed in nothing but a pair of extremely tight Speedos, deciding to drag someone else's sunbed across the deck as if it were his own. No asking, no hesitation, just full entitlement on display. Other guests look on, clearly confused, while the poor sunbed screeches across the floor like it's part of the show. The whole scene is bizarre, awkward, and honestly, kind of hilarious. Cruise etiquette? Completely out the window. But those Speedos? Somehow holding on for dear life, stealing the spotlight almost as much as the man's audacity. And of course, we can't overlook the case of a man so drunk he can't even stand on his own, needing 3 people to haul him back onto the ship. His legs give out, his head lolls, and he looks more like a rag doll than a vacationer. Cruises are meant for relaxing, having fun, and yes, enjoying a few drinks. But when it reaches this level, you have to wonder what the experience is even worth. Thousands of dollars spent only to black out and remember nothing. It's not just a spectacle for others, it's a reminder that too much excess can turn a dream vacation into something you barely survive instead of truly enjoying. Finally, but no less interesting, is the case of the passenger below, a situation I strongly advise you never to intentionally get yourself into when cruising. Most cruise lines, including Carnival, have a pretty clear system for excursions. 1, you book your trip through the app. 2, you get physical tickets. 3, you sign a waiver. 4, and then, most importantly, you receive a wristband. That wristband is your golden ticket. No wristband, no ride, it's not negotiable. Everyone knows the rule, and on this day, hundreds of passengers followed it except for one. This woman boarded the ferry without a wristband. When the crew politely explained she couldn't stay on board, she dug in her heels. Repeatedly, the ferry operator asked her to leave. For almost an hour, she refused. When officers finally stepped in, she escalated the drama, going limp, making her body uncooperative, forcing them to physically carry her off. Imagine being there, watching this spectacle unfold. And then, the hardest part. Her young son, just 8 to 10 years old, was standing nearby on the dock. He watched in tears as his mother was dragged off in front of dozens of strangers. The humiliation wasn't just hers, it was his too. Meanwhile, the rest of the passengers were stuck waiting in the sweltering Bahamian heat. Hungry, tired, and irritated, they watched their entire excursion get delayed because one person refused to follow the same rules as everyone else. At first, some passengers were sympathetic, but after 30 to 40 minutes of delay, the mood shifted. People began shouting things like, "Come on, get off already," and "You're acting like a child." This wasn't just an inconvenience anymore. It was the definition of selfishness. After the incident, the woman defended herself. She insisted she had paid for the excursion, and therefore, she was entitled to be there.
No, I want to be like an adult who paid my money.
And she wasn't wrong about the payment. Reports confirmed she did purchase the tickets through Carnival's app. But here's the catch. Paying isn't enough. You have to complete the full process. Sign the waiver and get your wristband. Without that wristband, you're simply not allowed to board. Period. So what's the real problem here? It's not about the money. It's not even about the excursion itself. The real issue is entitlement. It's the belief that rules apply to everyone else, but not to you. That somehow your wants and your frustrations outweigh the comfort, time, and patience of hundreds of fellow passengers. Payment doesn't buy you immunity from procedure. If anything, it makes following the rules even more important, because everyone else also paid, and they all deserve a fair and equal experience. Sadly, this isn't an isolated case. We've seen similar drama before with pier runners, those late passengers who sprint back to the ship after ignoring all aboard times. The common thread? A lack of accountability and a belief that rules are just suggestions. And here's the real tragedy. The person who paid the highest price wasn't even the woman herself. It was her child. That boy had to stand on the dock, crying, watching his mother cause a scene instead of setting an example. Instead of teaching him how to own up to mistakes with grace, she showed him what dysfunction looks like in public. In the end, this wasn't strength. It wasn't bravery. It was entitlement. And it turned what should have been a beautiful day in the Bahamas into a lesson in what not to do on a cruise.